Hi, so in this video we're going to talk about how to price your work as an artist, what to do, what not to do. And my name's Amanda Heath, Thriving Artist Business School. If that's of interest to you, stick around for this. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and don't forget to click on that notification bell as well. And that will let you know when I've released new content that will help you as an artist make more sales in your art business. So pricing, as I said, this is such a hot topic for so many artists because it keeps us really stuck. And the issue is most artists undervalue and underprice their work. And the old way of working out pricing, how to price your work, used to be, and some people obviously still do this, that's fine, each to their own. It was on, how much experience you have, how many galleries are you in, how many awards have you won, how many solo shows have you done. And that's brilliant, and obviously that gives you a lot more prestige, and it's fantastic. But there is a problem for me with pricing based on experience, and this may upset people. That's not my intention, but this is just my opinion. And the reason is, you can have somebody with 30 years experience that's had solo shows, that is has been around a while and they are represented in galleries, but perhaps their art isn't as relevant or not as desirable as somebody who is an emerging artist. They've just come out, they're perhaps self-taught, their art is really fresh, it's very of the moment, and it's very in demand. You couldn't say to the second artist, hang on a minute, sir or lady, you can't price your art at that price because this person here next to you has been doing it 30 years and they have a lot more experience. For me, it's about the price that somebody is willing to pay for artwork. And if the newer artist has fresher work, it's more appealing, more desirable, then they should be able to achieve a good price for it and, and sit next to somebody who has that experience. So I'm not denying experience counts for anything. Of course it does. But I'm just saying for me, I don't like pricing models that work that way. So the other thing as well, a lot of artists are told to look around, check out the market, price your work accordingly to the rest of the market. But if you do that, you can be basing your prices off somebody else's, and they might have their own money blocks and pricing issues, because that's where a lot of the pricing concerns and worries and anxiety comes from with artists. It's this kind of lack of self-belief that we can't charge for something because we really enjoy it, and who are we to ask for X amount of thousands or hundreds for something. And it's those limiting beliefs and self-doubts. And so by pricing according to other people in your area or other people on this particular marketplace, you might be absorbing their money and pricing blocks too. Now, there are 3 basic pricing models that people use, and I go into these in more detail in Passion into Profit. There's one in particular that is my favourite, and it keeps it consistent. And that is the important thing. Whatever your pricing model is that you choose, it has to be consistent. Yeah. And you can test it and you can tweak it by all means. And obviously, if you are selling very well, then look at raising your prices once a year. But make sure you have based it on something concrete and make sure it's consistent. And also, really importantly, price for profit. Because if a lot of artists don't take into account the smaller things. So let's say, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but just bear with me. Let's say your financial target per month is £3,000 a month. And you think, right, I need to sell £3,000 worth of art because that's what I need to live on. However, we don't take into account some of the hidden costs. So yes, we take into account materials and, perhaps time, things like that. But we don't take into account shipping and packing materials. We don't take into account taxes. We don't take into account heat and light in the studio or at home or whatever it may be. Lots of hidden costs. So when you start to take those out, tax alone can be 20% depending on which country you are and which bracket. But you take 20% off that 3,000, you're now down to 2,400. You take off your materials, that might be 400, so you're down to 2,000. You take off your heat, your light, your packaging, your posting, all of those things, and you might now be down to 1,700 from that 3,000. So if you needed 3,000 to live on, then all of a sudden you've only got 1,700. Okay, so we need to take into account our financial goals and pay ourselves a proper living wage as an artist. And I see a lot of artists pricing things and I think, hang on a minute, by the time you've paid your tax, your shipping, your packaging, your posting, how much are you left with? And they're like, oh, about £25. And I say, right, okay, how many hours did that take you? Well, probably about 10 hours. And it's like, okay, are you happy with, £2.50 an hour or whatever? And you think, gosh, no, that's not even a quarter of the minimum wage. So be realistic. So a great way of doing things when you're a bit further down the line is to say, right, okay, what do I need to live on? Let's say it's 2,000 or 3,000. That's my baseline. And then what are my costs? And add your costs on top of that. So that might end up being suddenly 4,200 or something. And so you're like, okay, so my goal now with my art business is £4,500 a month. How am I going to do that? My originals are this price, my prints are this price. Therefore, I have to sell 4 originals and 10 prints each month to be able to reach that goal. And you then reverse engineer this and work backwards from your goal and figure out how you're going to achieve that. So pricing, really delicate subject. Make sure you price for profit. Make sure you stand confidently behind your prices. Be consistent with them. Do check, how it relates to everything else out there, but don't be swayed by that. Test and tweak when necessary. So if you enjoyed this video, I do also have a free masterclass on how to make consistent art sales, and the link is somewhere around this video, so do check that out as well.